Hi guys, I hope this is live and I hope it's working. Hopefully, if I do this more and more, I can actually get better at this because right now I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But wanted to jump on here and do a quick live for you guys. I think this might be the way that I get to make videos at the moment. So I have got a few questions, and this time the questions are gym based. So gym based Q&A for sprinters. So I'm gonna jump straight into the questions that I have. And if you have any questions whilst on the live, you can actually ask me in the chat. Otherwise, I'll answer the questions that I have here, and then hopefully they're helpful for you guys. Sorry that. So give me 2 seconds. Okay. So I hope you guys can hear me. So I've got a question here from Arena, and it says, "Good day. I trust that you are well. I really need your advice when it comes to lifting weights. When it comes to lifting, do we always have to go heavy?" So I'll start off with that. How many times a week should we lift? How do you balance light lifting and heavy lifting? When do you start going light? During off season, on season, pre-season? When it's off season, do you only go heavy? So hopefully in me answering this question, I'll try to answer it from experience, what I found to work, what I do with clients and athletes, and what I do for myself, what I've done over the years, and hopefully that'll be helpful. I'm not going to say that this is the only way to do something, because there's not only one way to approach this, but hopefully this answer can help you guys. So when it comes to lifting, do we always have to go heavy? I think as a sprinter, sprinting requires a lot of strength, a lot of power. And so in the grand scheme of things, if you think about what light lifting is, if I think light lifting, you're generally going to have, on the lighter end of the spectrum, you tend to do more reps, right? And as a sprinter, we want to kind of stay in the strength slash power region when it comes to reps. And at some point, you may want to be in the hypertrophy range as well. So like, 8 to 12 reps sort of thing. But generally speaking, you're going to then be in a strength power. So, underneath the 8 reps for a lot of the work that you do as well. So it depends where you are in the season as to how heavy, but I would think it would be safe to say in general that you're always going to lift heavy. There's not really many exercises or much where you're going to be going light per se, because even what you might classify as light as a sprinter tends to be heavy if you compare it to maybe a normal person who's lifting, say. So in general, if you think heavy, but how heavy, how many reps, what the aim is for a particular exercise, it's going to kind of vary depending on where you are in the season and what the exercises are, right? So if you start off by thinking, the idea of thinking, oh, I'm going to do light and loads of reps, kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to achieve as a sprinter. So like I said, sprinting is about speed, it's about strength, it's about power, which is speed times strength. So you're not going to be on that whole idea of doing lots of light lifting at loads and loads of reps. It's going to be more along, so like on the more endurance side of things, muscle endurance, it's going to tend to be towards the strength, power, hypertrophy side of things when it comes to the scale where you're looking at. How many times a week should we lift? Now, again, this is not an answer to say you should do this, but you could lift once a week. You could lift 4, 5 times a week. I've been in programs where we're lifting 4 times a week, and that would be like 2 lower body gym days and 2 upper body gym days. I would personally think that's kind of I'll probably say capping it around that probably work. Doesn't mean you're not going to be in the gym and touching on other kind of strength and conditioning work, because you would do a lot of that. You need to do a lot of that, right? But if we're talking specifically with weight lifting, then it depends how you split your sessions. So if you do split your sessions, if you think about the lower body, I think it's a very good idea to have bilateral gym sessions and to have a unilateral gym session. So that would be sessions where you're focusing on double-sided exercises, sessions where you're focusing on single-sided exercises. Then upper body, sometimes it's easy to neglect the upper body when it comes to sprinting. But if you watch my upper body, you equals upper body. I think that's what the video is called. Watch my sprinting ABC series if you haven't seen it. I speak about the upper body in there. Obviously, our arm play a big part. You know, having core strength, back strength, all of that stuff. It is going to help when it comes to sprinting. So having some upper body is going to be beneficial, right? Obviously, you don't need to be a bodybuilder. You don't need to be a weightlifter. You don't need to have like so much muscle going on in the upper body, but having a strong upper body is going to be beneficial to help counterbalance what's happening with the lower body, right? So if you are splitting your sessions, so you have a lower body day, you have a upper body day, then you may have as much as up to like 4 gym sessions a week, weightlifting talking, because you might be in the gym for other reasons, to do a little bit of prehab, a bit of rehab, to be doing some other kind of like conditioning work, right? Which is not necessarily weightlifting. But if you are weightlifting, I would probably say a good base would kind of be like 2 sessions a week would probably be a good base for most sprinters, particularly if you're an adult sprinter. And I believe this is an adult asking me this question. So trying to get in the gym 2 times a week would probably be a good idea. If you're splitting that, it could be 1 lower body, 1 upper body session. It could be, you know, a whole body, full body, but it could be bilateral and it could be unilateral. So depends how you want to split it, but how many times should you? It depends on you. Some people might need a bit more, you know, weight. They might work better off of having a more gym-based program. Some people don't. Some people work better off of having a lot more running sessions. So it kind of depends on you as an athlete. But I think as a foundation, as a good place to start would be around 2 is probably a good, you know, good foundational place to be at. And it also obviously going to depend on what your schedule is, because if you are only able to train 1 time a day or for a short space of time in a day, then you may not be able to do like a track session and then a gym session. But if you can do that, then you might have more gym sessions in the week. So if you only have a set amount of hours and a set amount of days, then you may have to prioritize. Obviously you're going to prioritize track anyway, but therefore your gym may be limited, so you might only be able to get 1 session a week. And if you can only get 1 session a week, then it will be a good idea to maybe have like rotating sessions, so you can touch on some of the things that I mentioned before. So how do you balance light lifting and heavy lifting? I think when it comes to light lifting, like I said, as a sprinter, just think heavy in general. Obviously, heavy is going to be relative to you, and light is going to be relative to you. But in general, you want to be strong and fast. You want to be able to move the weight quickly. But obviously, the more weight you can move quickly, that's going to be power, right? So if you started off your gym session with like a power lift, then obviously those are going to be it depends because yeah. So how do you balance light lifting with heavy lifting? I think it again would be as to, in say winter, I don't know, people say off season. So I don't know if you mean off season means like out of competition. I'm going to use the term winter because it's easier for me to think about it that way. But say winter training, the off season before you're going into indoors, then that's going to probably be the part of your gym session where you have the most reps, where you're going heavy. But then again, you do go heavy. You can go heavy in competition season, but usually with fewer reps, right? So you might do fewer reps where you're focusing in that power range. So your reps are like underneath 5, for example. Whereas in the winter, you may be around like 8 or 10 reps sort of thing. That sort of range, trying to build a bit more muscle. So in the winter, you might be focusing on building a bit more strength, building a bit more muscle. So you're going to be working more in the hypertrophy range. This is just a guidance. It's not necessarily you have to do it this way, because if depending on your history of training, where you are, you may be able to jump into certain places a bit quicker, right? But generally getting you strong, generally getting you building a bit more muscle. If you're somebody who doesn't necessarily have much muscle, you're not very strong, then you're going to have to build that, and you're going to have to do a bit more reps to try to get to that place, right? But that means you're going to have to lift heavy. Your lift may be a bit slower, a bit more time under tension, but as you're moving towards competition, you want everything to be quicker. You want to be more explosive in what you do. So you can still be heavy, but for example, let's say you're doing a power clean, or you're doing a snatch, for example, or a split jerk. Those kind of power moves, you want to be able to lift heavy but do it quickly. So you're going to be in a place at some point where you're working to be able to lift more, so it may be a bit slower. But let's say if you do decide to do lifts, for example, as part of your pre-meet, then you may go lighter than what you usually do in order to make it quicker. So it will still be heavy. Let's say on a normal day you're doing like 80 kg in your power clean. Then when it comes to in your pre-meet, for example, during a competition season, you want to do that, you may reduce that weight down to like 70 or even like 65. It depends on how well you're able to execute. It depends how that 80 feels for you on a normal day. So I'm hopefully just giving you some ideas, some things to think about when you're looking at this. When do you start going light? During off season, during on season, pre-season? So I think the idea of that at some point you have to go light, maybe there are people who probably implement that. I personally don't implement that. All year round, you're essentially lifting heavy, but how quick the movements are, how explosive the movements are, how many reps you do tend to change. There's almost like a pyramid, which is something I talk about a lot of times, where you kind of get more specific, faster, more explosive as you go down. So where you may do more reps and it's heavy and slower, you may do less reps, still heavy, right? But you're able to move that weight quicker. You're able to be more powerful with that weight. You're able to be stronger, but you're not holding you're not building more muscle per se. You're still strong, you're still explosive, but without necessarily bulking up at the same time. So there's that balance. So I personally don't really go for the now it's competition season, you're going to go everything's light sort of thing. I think, and a lot of athletes and programs that I know don't necessarily go for that whole light thing. So thinking light, I think, like I said at the beginning of the live, if you think in general as a sprinter, it's about being strong, powerful, explosive, you don't tend to go light like that. But you may go lighter in some exercises depending on what you're trying to achieve at any given point in your season. So essentially, I guess what I'm saying is during the winter, you may want to, or off season, whatever you call it, you may want to be building more muscle, getting stronger. You may be doing more reps at that point, and you may obviously continuously increase weight. There may come to a point when it's now competition you're in competition where you're not necessarily focusing on building more strength, but you're trying to maintain the strength that you have, and you're trying to still be fast and explosive and strong. So your reps may go down, and the speed at which you execute the exercises becomes quicker, becomes more power-like, more explosive. So your squats, where you may do slow, deep squats later in winter, those might become, for example, rack squats when it comes to competitions, where you're now, the range is less, the speed is more, the weight is still heavy, the weight even might go up, right, because the range is less. So those are things to think about. It's not necessarily light at some point all of a sudden, but you can go lighter, but also you want to maintain your speed, you want to maintain your strength and your power, but you don't necessarily want to bulk up during competition season. You want to be able to, if you can, still produce more force, more power, whilst being lighter. That's going to be more beneficial, right? So it's trying not to get into a place building strength or muscle that's optimal for you, and depending on your build, your frame, all that kind of stuff, different athletes kind of have different physiques and structures slightly, because they're able to, it works best for them, right? So some people are more, that's why you get some athletes that are really good at 60, really good at the start, because they're really powerful and explosive and compact, and some athletes are a bit more I would say lean and long and gangly, and they're able to, they're better when it comes to like the max velocity side of things or stuff like that. So you see the differences there, but those are just some things to think about. So guys, that was a quick answer to that question. I don't know if it was helpful, but I hope so. Let me see if anyone had any other questions. Otherwise, I will leave it at this very short live. And I hope you guys can hear me. Thumbs up if you hear this video, and thumbs up if it was helpful, and please leave me a comment. So just before I go, if there's no other questions, I just want to let you know that if you would like somebody to actually program this for you, so I've given you ideas, things to think about, but you're like, oh, that sounds all great, but how do I actually put this together into an actual structured program, and how do I combine that with my track work as well and my plyometric work and all of that, then I want to invite you to my online sprint squad, which is called Speed Masters Academy. So particularly, I find, a lot of masters athletes who may not necessarily have started athletics younger, they don't necessarily know or have a lot of experience as to how to structure their program for themselves, not sure what to do. You're on YouTube, you're online, you're seeing all these pieces that you need to put together, but you're like, I just want someone to put this together for me and make this easy for me so that I can just do it, right? Then Speed Masters Academy is for you. It gives you a chance to just really have an elite program for you. It doesn't matter if you're trying to be, who you're trying to be, or if you're just doing it for yourself. You want to compete, you don't want to compete, you just want to do it for fitness, but you want to really push your body to the max, really get the most out of yourself, get to the best speed you can be, get the best, physique, health, mindset, all of that stuff, all of that good stuff. Then I encourage you to check out my online sprint squad, Speedmaster Academy. Registration is open, and the next cohort will be open in January, but registration is open now, and I've currently got a deal going on, so you can get around 25% off if you go on now. So it will be 3 months cohort. Obviously, if you want to renew, you can, but for the next cohort will open. I've just closed the last one, and we're already starting this week. Come in. We're starting this current cohort this week. Come in. But if you're interested in that, then definitely check out Speedmasters Academy, so TarimaThompson.uk/SMA, and I'll put the link below. And yeah, read up on that and see if it's something that you think will really suit you and benefit you and help you to get the most out of your training, out of your time, and basically show you how to structure and give you all the what you need to really train and then perform the way that you would like to, regardless of whether that is to compete or whether that is for your own personal enjoyment, and to just really train like the elite sprinter you would love to be, right? So any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to jump off. Don't want to just waste time for the sake of it, But yeah, I hope this has been helpful, even a little bit. I'm always like, I don't know if this is helpful, but I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, if you're interested in coaching from me, obviously I forgot to say that obviously there will be input as well. It's not just like you'll get a program and you go and do it by yourself. I will obviously be giving you input. You'll have me there. We'll do live. We're able to show me your video. I'm able to give you feedback. I'm able to show you how to, if something doesn't fit into your schedule, or you're like, okay, I can only do this week. What is the priority? How can I adapt this to the equipment that I have? All of that good stuff, right? That is what Speedmasters Academy is for. So it's a solution for those who are looking for a structured training program system to help them go from newbies to masters in their sprinting journey. So guys, thank you for those who joined me live. And if there's no other questions, I'm going to jump off now. But yeah, have a lovely Saturday, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.